I'm just moving from meeting work meetings to this. Let's see. Are we just waiting on Larry?
Yes, and he's going to be joining, but with his screen off because he's feeling
Okay.
ill today.
And was Diane not able?
I have not heard anything from Diane.
Okay.
So we got four.
Okay. Um, well, since we have quorum, maybe we'll just start. Okay. Okay. I'm looking off to the side to read the script, so sorry. I'd like to call to order the special meeting for the Mount Hood Community College Board of Education. I declare quorum for today's special session with the following directors present. Uh, William Miller, and please say here when I call your name.
Here.
Annette Matson,
Here.
Shatoya Bentley,
Here.
and Andrew Spear. I'm here. Approval of the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Annette, second by Will. Any all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next, we'll move to item 2.0 or 2.1, consider amendment for resolution to adopt and make appropriations for fiscal year 25-26 budget. And Jennifer, would you like to run us through this one?
Yes, and I'm also probably going to be looking at the wrong screen. I'm sorry, but now it's too complicated to switch. Okay, so this is our one time that we can actually change after the adoption date in June, our budget related to the general obligation bond. So what we have is a resolution to do that. We actually hit right on target with the debt service numbers, so we don't need to change that. But what we are changing is the amount in the bond fund to spend. And this is really, really good news because what it means is when we sold bonds yesterday, we were able to get a premium. And what that means is that investors were willing to pay more than the face value of the bond coupon to get the bonds in exchange for the interest rate. So we got about $10.9 million in bond premium. And so that goes into the project fund, has to be spent on the project. It was about 900,000 in cost of issuance. So really good news that that we'll actually have more than 136 million to spend on bond projects. So this is just adjusting the budget appropriation for Fund 2 or for Fund 8. I'm sorry, for capital projects to that 147 amount, 147 million. Any questions?
That's that's so cool.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's not often that we get an unexpected positive financial thing like that.
Well, and like related, we can invest, within that 3-year period to keep them tax exempt. And so we are expecting probably another 7 million in interest earnings on
Okay.
these funds as we spend out over the next 3 years. So that'll also go into the project fund. So yeah, it's been, I don't know, raining flowers. I'm not sure what the term is. I don't know.
And Lisa?
I just want to say all of this was possible because of the really, really strong credit rating we had. And I just want to publicly recognize Jennifer and Michelle and Jamie, her team, and everyone else for what they've done. This isn't a one-year thing. This has been a series of years. And so all this additional flowers, whichever you're calling, anyway, is in due part to Jennifer and her team. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to publicly recognize her on that.
No, it's amazing. I mean, I think right, and Annette and Diane would tell me things about like, when they first joined and the situation of the budget then and finances, and just to think of where we're at and where we've come, and this resolution itself is amazing. Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, no other questions from anyone? If there's no questions, may I have a motion to approve consider amend resolution for approval to adopt and make appropriations for fiscal year 25-26 budget as outlined in agenda 2.1.
So move.
Moved by Will,
I'll second.
second by Annette. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
And I do want to note, Larry Morgan just joined the call. Okay. And then next item is 2.2, consider amend resolution imposing and categorizing taxes. And Jennifer,
So this also is related to the bond. Now that we have our final debt service amount, we've grossed that up by the 5% that we expect not to pay. So the amount that we're asking all of our counties to assess is this $9.2 million. And we did get an extension from the county to file this before September 30th.
okay. Any questions for Jennifer? All right. If there's no questions, may I have a motion to consider amend resolution for approval imposing and categorizing taxes outlined in agenda item 2.2.
So moved.
Moved by Annette. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Will. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Next item is 2.3, approval to utilize goods and or services contracts in excess of 150,000. And Jennifer, back to you.
So these are usually in your consent agenda, but because we didn't have a regular meeting this month, some of these are urgent related to bond projects. The PACE one is just our annual insurance, which premiums have increased, which is why we're asking for higher authorization there. OPSIS architecture is related to the facilities master plan implementation. Site work for the pool enclosure, we need to get that started by the end of this month so that we can finish in the spring as scheduled. We're going to start a lot of paving work on campus with bond dollars, so that's the Pave Connect. And then finally, Piquentos is a grant agreement for a childcare provider that we're doing pass-through funds from the city and the state. Okay.
Jennifer, on the OPSIS, is that just an extension to complete the master facilities plan, or is that related to other work?
Some of it's related to other work. So they worked with us on the ECRC project. And all of the spending, and we look at total spend with the vendor. So they did the facilities master plan, then they did the ECRC project. And I think we're going to have them do some work around some of these facility plan concepts that are included in the bond, like improving the welcoming feel. There's some money in there for like student club space. And so kind of like filling out what that might be. I'm doing some work on those.
Okay.
But it's an authorization, so we'll negotiate and do each contract bid as a project comes up.
Nice. Will?
Yeah, Jennifer, can you speak to the increase in the PACE the PACE insurance provider? That's a $300,000 difference. Just curious a little bit more to have a little bit more context about that.
So our insurance, so this is our liability. I'm not sure that it actually needed to go all the way up to 900,000. But we did have a pretty significant increase in our insurance costs. We use PACE, which is a property and casualty. It's a statewide insurance pool managed with Oregon School Board Association. But there were things like our sexual abuse and molestation coverage hadn't actually been applicable for community colleges. It was really a K-12 thing. Now they are saying that community colleges have to have it. We used to have $20 million in coverage, and now that's been reduced, I want to say, to like 10 million that we're paying $100,000 a year for. Right. So it's like there's certain coverages. Our cyber coverage continues to go up, statewide. So not just, these aren't necessarily a reflection on Mount Hood. I think it's just because we're in a pool, as like experience ratings for that type of coverage go up, all of our rates go up.
Thank you. That's really helpful.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Jennifer?
Just and if you can't answer this right now, Jennifer or Lisa, this is fine. Just maybe something to think about for future reference. When I was in the private sector, one of the things that the company did to reduce their potential liability in the case of sexual harassment, et cetera, anything else we can be sued for, was to increase their preventative training programs for employees. So I was wondering about the steps the college is taking to do that, both of course to prevent these horrendous things from happening, but also to make sure there's a broader program that we can show that we're doing everything we can as an employer to prevent these, this type of abuse.
So we use an online platform called Vector Solutions that was also developed in partnership with PACE and the OSBA to do mandatory training for all of our employees every year, which includes some of the cyber training, the sexual abuse training, sexual harassment, right? All of those key things that were required. And we actually, because we do that, we get a 5% discount on our insurance premiums. So PACE asks us, have you done all of these things with your employees? And we say yes, and show the evidence, and then we get a discount. We have some challenges with total compliance. So like the software is clunky. It's very difficult to tell who has and who hasn't done it and who their supervisor is, or if they still work here, right? So if we have a part-time faculty that works in fall term and maybe they didn't do the training at the end of the year, like, how do you know if they're still here? Should they have done it? Do we ask them, So we're working on the compliance piece, and I'm always on the lookout for a better software solution that does that back end stuff for us better. But we do that. And then we also, with all new employees, knowing that we don't want to give a new employee a year to do their sexual harassment training. Like, I want you to know that before you start working here. So there is also a number of trainings that need to be done before an employee actually starts their first day. And so we have that set up as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll add, we have also recently added a intake and, advocacy coordinator. And this is related to Title IX and sexual misconduct, and is an outgrowth of the legislation that was passed in Oregon that has increased awareness campaigns and reporting that we need to do. And so she just started last month. So again, in that awareness piece, we're going to be doing much more with students and employees as far as understanding what it is, what are the services, how you respond. So.
Okay. And is that covering all kinds of potential harassment, sexual harassment, racial, ethnic, et cetera?
Yes. Yeah. And she reports to Rashida Willard in the DEI office.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. May I have a motion to approve the resolution to utilize goods and or service contracts in excess of 150,000 as outlined in agenda item 2.3?
So moved.
So move. Okay.
Second.
Who got it first?
Moved by Will and seconded by Larry. All right, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Did we get you, Larry and Will, we get you?
Yep.
Okay, okay. All right, any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, thank you, Jennifer. And our next item is 2.4 board member vacancy. So as everyone's aware, as of August 1st, Dana resigned from the Board of Education, which is her position is number 5 in our district. And so as part of that, we have some things to consider as the board. And according to our board policy 2110 vacancies on the Board of Education, the board must declare a vacancy once a seat is been resigned. And then kind of the state that I think we need to discuss now is we have 2 options. We can appoint using an open application process, or we can leave the position vacant until that seat comes up for re-election. And so I'm gonna do a little bit of reading of just the practical things. So for timeline of option 1, the board would direct the president to promote the position and collect applications prior to the next board meeting. And then in terms of option 2, the position would be open at the Multnomah County Elections Office on May 2027, and that'd be the first date for a candidate to file and then be elected. And so the candidate filing for that position under that option would be March 2027 for the May special election in 27. And so I just wanted to kind of note and level set for Larry and Will. So I think it's been about 2.5 years since Shatoya came on and Laverne Lewis resigned. And so the process that we went through at that time was we opened it up for applications, and we had some very brief questions and responses for folks to respond to, or questions for folks to respond to. And then the board reviewed those applications, and then we did interviews via Zoom, and then prior to selection. So in discussions with Lisa about this topic was just kind of being able to think about modeling that was the intent. And so that's where things have landed kind of up to this point. But I just wanted to make sure that everyone kind of understood the situation and the options. And then we had opportunity to discuss any or clarify anything for this process going forward. So I'll open up for any discussion or comments.
My question could be, well, I don't think we're gonna leave it vacant that long.
Yeah.
So could you kind of lay out what the timeline would be if we collect those before the next board, what we'd be looking at as far as posting, declaring the vacancy, posting, collecting those, interviewing, appointing, what that time frame would look like?
Yeah, so I'm pulling up my calendar here. So we have our work session on the 3rd. Is that correct, Roxanne?
Yes, and I
Yeah.
sent a timeline out to everyone via email yesterday that outlined what that would look like if we did move
I was
forward.
at the county fair all day yesterday with my grandchildren and have not seen it.
So I'm going off of memory, but so we would make a decision today, and then we would if that decision was to do the process you just outlined, Annette, there would be an announcement from the college and kind of made a posting, and then people would have 2 weeks to respond, and then we would be able to so I think that would have it closing on the 29th. And then that week prior to us having our meeting on the 3rd, we'd have the applications, be able to look at them, and have interviews on the 3rd, potentially with those that applied or those that we selected that we wanted to interview. And then and then the formalized process for us selecting someone would be our regular session on the 17th, our regular board meeting. We would be able to bring forward a decision to vote on at that meeting.
The application deadline will be the 28th.
Did you say 28th? Okay, thank you. Larry,
Just curiosity and confirming, is there 2 years left on this appointment? So this would be 2027 is the next election for this
yeah,
position?
yeah, correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions or thoughts or and I'm just wanted to kind of get a temperature check too. Like, I think there's agreement by just no follow-up questions that we need to fill it. Is that okay? I just want to make sure. And then is everyone generally agreeable with the process that we've discussed that I just outlined in terms of the specific dates are in that email Roxanne sent out, but okay. Well, if that is the case, I'm just going back to my script. So Roxanne, I just wanted to clarify on the script, is it one vote, or do we need to do a vote to declare it open and then another vote to declare the option that we want to choose, or do we wrap that up? I wasn't sure.
Based on what I've seen in the past, it was just voting on which option that you would like to choose.
Okay. Okay. Well, the Mount Hood Community College Board of Education declares a board vacancy on the Mount Hood Community College Board of Education due to the resignation of a board member. The board has decided to choose option 1, which fill the vacancy, and choose that option to move forward on. And then before we move forward on a board vote, are there any questions? All right. May I have a motion to approve option 1, which would be to fill the vacancy given a process?
Okay.
And
I
Moved-
got waiting here.
Moved by Annette and seconded by Shatoya. Is there any discussion? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, great. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your engagement. And yeah, if you have any questions, please reach out to me or Lisa. And then please reference that email that Roxanne sent out with the options that gives, or excuse me, with the process that gives the more detailed timeline. And then kind of keep track. I would just say keep track of emails more closely here as we get into that process, as we get to the end of the month, because we'll need to look at those. I would expect that we would need to come to the third, being able to have seen each application and be able to discuss them and probably know about them ahead of time. So just please keep tabs on that. Next, we'll move to item 2.5, other business, board policy 6331, employee non-travel meals and refreshments, first reading. And I guess, is that for you, Jennifer, or for Lisa?
Are you tired of hearing from me?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So I sent I think Roxanne sent an email out to you a few days ago with some links to some more detailed information. But what's pushing the need for this is the Oregon Government Ethics Commission issued an advisory opinion in late May to the Oregon League of Cities that said, basically, as a public official, you cannot have food that is provided by the organization that you either work for or serve. So it applies to elected officials, it applies to employees. The only way that it can be allowed is if it's declared a part of your official compensation package. And it has to be a de minimis amount to not then trigger IRS rules related to compensation. So I have been working with legal. So this was a kind of a huge shift from how it's always been understood. There's chatter that there will likely be a legislative fix to this in the short session in February, but that's quite a ways down the road. So we don't want our employees to incur ethics violations. We don't want our board members to either, but that's going to be a separate issue because there is actually a separate law that says board members cannot receive compensation. So we can't just say this is part of your compensation package and you can have food because you can't have a compensation package. So we're looking at different ways to address that with the board. But for employees, which do have a compensation package, we are proposing a new board policy that literally just states that we will provide incidental meals that are for college business or to benefit the college, not to benefit the employee. It's a de minimis fringe benefit that's part of the employee compensation package. And to avoid any conflict of interest, anybody eating can't be an approver. So this is why normally something like this we would have as an administrative regulation. We do have a very extensive administrative regulation related to non-employee, non-travel meals because it's very operational. It says when you can have them, when you can't, what documentation is required, but we can't approve it because we would be benefiting from it. And that in itself, according to the Ethics Commission, is a conflict of interest. So they very specifically said the board would have to approve this for the employees. And when we get to the board one, the board also can't approve the board policy for board meals. It'll have to be approved by administration. So things are very tricky. We're trying to navigate through, but this basically establishes those three things. And the reason we're pushing this through off cycle is we do have convocation coming up where we have an all staff meal, we have refreshments, it's kind of twice a year that we do employee food for the most part, other than some advisory meetings and such. So lots of questions.
Larry.
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. I feel like a lot of different jurisdictions are handling this complete disaster mess differently. The question that I have is, for the board to approve this, this would not be ruled a conflict of interest because this only deals with employees, and the college does not determine us in any way, shape, or form an employee.
Yes, and the very last sentence explicitly says this policy does not apply to members of the Board of Education.
Okay. And I understand that it says that. I just know that the ethics tends to take a very liberal interpretation of all the things. So I just want to make sure. The other thing that I want to clarify is then, would that mean that the president would then create a policy for board related things?
If we choose to go that route, so yes, the board couldn't. So there's a narrower path. So one path is that if the food is available to the general public, then it's not an ethics violation. So what I've seen some other K-12 school districts do is offer like a buffet type table with hors d'oeuvre stuff, and 30 minutes before the board meeting that's set out in a public area in the boardroom. The board members could get their food and go into the office and eat it, right? So it's being offered to the public, then it's not a violation. So that's one solution we could do that actually wouldn't require anything administratively to change. We need to change how we're doing it. We're also exploring the option of if it's a legitimate business expense, we can reimburse board members for that. So we would need to have an administrative regulation developed that defines what a legitimate, business expense is in order to reimburse board members. But then we'd have to, like, administratively, board members would have to buy their own meal and then apply for reimbursement. And I'm not sure that that's necessarily the best path either. So very different, but we are exploring different ways that we can go through it with the board. But yeah, the board couldn't approve any kind of policy allowing them to have food, because that in itself would be a conflict of interest.
Okay, so then the next time that there's a board function where there is a meal, have we established what we will do board specific? I mean, this accomplishes the employee component,
Mhm.
but we have a solution.
I have made a few recommendations. I'm not sure which direction Lisa
Okay.
intends to go, but
And
it is on our radar.
yeah, and our thought was at your September 3rd work session, we would have some of the proposed options for you to consider. And have a discussion about, which would then provide us guidance on what path we take, if there's preferences one way or another.
And-
And then a reminder, the next time we have a board dinner would be September 17th.
Okay, and just to clarify, are we allowed to deliberate or to steer policy for a policy we can benefit from? Or does the president have to make an administrative decision on behalf of the organization? I'm just trying to clarify. This is a complete mess. The city and
Yeah.
everybody else is going to fight this, but I don't want to put the college and or you in a position where we are driving policy that we can't benefit from.
No, that makes sense. So I think probably we need to come up with the process and solution of how we want to handle this.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Larry.
Will.
Thank you, Jennifer, and all for this. Just curious if there are any anticipated budgetary impacts currently or in the future as a result of this, beyond what we're planning for currently.
I don't expect there to be for this employee related, because this would allow us to continue doing what we've been doing. Which is really minimal. We are pretty strict about when we allow employee food. However, potentially, like, depending on what route we go with the board, there may be cost implications one way or the other. So we will make sure that we consider that as we move forward. I know like Portland Community College, I'm just going to throw them out there. They decided that they were just going to ban employee food entirely. And so, yes, they had as a cost savings, right? Because they actually had a much more liberal food policy. They provided meals and refreshments very often, and they were in budget cuts, and it was a way to save money. But also they have food services in-house, and now their food services is not going to be able to sustain itself because they don't have all of the catering revenue that was coming in from the college. So very much like we've looked at kind of when we were discussing this, when I was discussing this with legal, we looked at kind of what those financial implications might be. But because our food services is outsourced anyway, there wasn't that implication. And this should just kind of continue our very limited food options that we have.
And then just process, Jennifer, this is the first reading, and then we would take a vote on the 17th next month.
Well, I think we were hoping that we could add this as an action item on September 3rd, so that we
Okay.
could get this in place before in-service, because we have a lot of events planned for in-service that involve motivating attendance through coffee and lunch.
So the third would be a dual meeting. One would be us opening a board meeting and then go to the work session.
Yes.
Okay.
Andrew,
Okay.
and just clarifying, we
Yeah.
need 2 readings for this.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of went through a process last year of instituting that as a path forward, so that mostly in the space of just no surprises for board members when making these kinds of decisions.
That's fine. I'm also incredibly supportive of the work that Jennifer and Lisa and team have done around this. So if it is in the interest of the board to do and approve this now, I'm fine with that. This is not their mess. This is the state's mess. And I think we're all trying to fix that. I just don't want to imperil employees or the organization. But if you think we can wait till September, great. I don't feel like this is surprising. This has been a mess we all have to deal with and resolve sooner rather than later.
Is that fine, Lisa and Jennifer, like for us to move this forward, or does it need to go through another step?
I would prefer to, I mean, we're talking about a 2 week, so it's like only 2.5, little over 2 weeks until the next
Sure.
meeting. Because I want to share this with our campus and provide them an opportunity for feedback as well. Just from a transparency, but also from an education standpoint, like if the board just approves it, then it's just done, but this kind of gives them an opportunity to read it and engage and understand and ask questions. And it's a really a 2 week difference so it's not going to substantially impact anything that's happening in the next 2 weeks.
Okay. Does that make does that sound appropriate to everyone? Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the discussion and appreciate the comments on that one. And thank you, Jennifer, for your work on that one. I think every jurisdiction is having frustration. All right. That concludes our business. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
To adjourn.
Moved by Will, the second.
Second.
By Larry. All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? All right. Motion carries. Thank you. We are adjourned.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Appreciate it.